Welcome to our video series on implications of Brexit for EU migrants. The audio for this presentation is taken from an event held in London on the 10th of May 2016. The research presented here is from the project Should I Stay or Should I Go and is presented by Professor Derek McGee of the Centre for Population Change at the University of Southampton.
EU migrants are amongst the most immediately and directly affected by the potential Brexit. They're also disempowered from actually voting. Therefore, it's important to find out about the strategies being considered by these non-British EU citizens in the context of a potential Brexit and also non-Brexit. Our study was an online survey that surveys EU citizens living in the UK on a wide range of issues, from their attitudes to the EU referendum and also strategies they might adopt in the event of Brexit or no Brexit. The presentation today is based on very preliminary analysis of a snapshot of survey data as of the 25th of April. For the paper today, we focus on participants who have not yet become British citizens. We examine the impact of Brexit and no Brexit on these participants' decisions to either stay in the UK or leave the UK. So in terms of leaving or going, we assume migration to another EU country, or remigration, return migration, or migration to a non-EU country. In terms of staying, we're assuming two main options or strategies. Absolutely no action at all, life goes on as normal, or actually adopting what we're calling a civic integration strategy. It's applying for permanent residence or applying for British citizenship. So we're focusing on just three EU groups, the Portuguese, Polish and Romanian participants. These are amongst the three largest groups of EU-born citizens living in the UK, apart from the Irish. These groups make up almost half of the EU-born citizens currently living in the UK. So just looking at the mobility strategies, civic strategies, and plans for the future. As we can see, if there is a Brexit, 11% will actually leave the UK, 74% would consider a civic strategy, and 14% would take no action. If there is no Brexit and in a 5-year time frame, 10% would leave the UK, 71% would consider a civic strategy, and 20% would take no action. So, as you can see, for Portuguese participants, Brexit has a positive influence as more Portuguese participants are contemplating civic strategies in the event of Brexit than in the event of no Brexit. But Brexit also has a negative influence on Portuguese participants in terms of their immediate mobility strategies. And we note that more Portuguese are planning to leave the UK anyway in 5 years. That being said, regardless of many Portuguese participants not planning on staying in the UK, about 14% more of them would consider a civic strategy in the case of Brexit. For Polish participants, Brexit effects are manifesting both mobility and civic integration strategies, with 3 to 4% more Poles choosing to leave the UK or considering civic integration measures in the case of Brexit. Whereas 11% would leave the UK in case of Brexit, 15% of Romanians are planning to leave the UK over the coming 5 years anyway. Whereas 68% would consider civic integration strategies in the case of Brexit. This rises to 73% in the case of no Brexit and within a 5-year time frame. As you can see, in the event of Brexit, 71% would consider applying for a permanent residence certificate. This drops down to 56% in the case of Brexit. And also, in the event of no Brexit and in a 5-year time frame, 29% consider applying for British citizenship. This increases to 44% in the event of Brexit and in a 5-year time frame. As you will observe, all three groups of participants' intention to apply for permanent residence actually declines in the case of no Brexit and in a 5-year time frame. However, their intentions to apply for British citizenship increases in the case of no Brexit and a 5-year time frame. From our findings, Portuguese participants appear to be the least inclined amongst the three groups on applying for British citizenship in the future, and in our further analysis, Portuguese participants also appear to be least aware of the requirements for applying for British citizenship. Well, this might be explained through the temporary nature of our Portuguese participants' mobility, and they may also have a stronger sense of European identity through being citizens of a more established European group. Polish and Romanian participants report a greater awareness of UK naturalisation processes than Portuguese participants, and Polish and Romanian participants report a higher likelihood of applying for British citizenship in the future than Portuguese participants. When we complete our analysis after the 23rd of June, we hope to be able to answer much more of these questions. Thank you.
We hope you found this presentation informative. If you would like to read more about our work, please visit our website www.cpc.ac.uk.